With February coming to a close, I have a recap of this month's goals to share with you, what I was able to accomplish, and then my top goal for March. Welcome back, ladies. I hope that all of you have been enjoying these goals videos that I have been sharing with you since the end of last year. And I have really been motivated by this because for some reason, just being accountable to what it is that I'm sharing with all of you really does help me. I am a goal-oriented woman and I just love to accomplish different things, but I know that when I have something set in place that I have to have something done by a certain time, I work so much better. I get something done. I am just much more likely to accomplish something. So putting these deadlines in place has really been helpful for me this year, especially. I hope it's been helpful for you, just knowing that I'm going to come back on here at the end of the month and share if I have been able to accomplish different things, and then if you would like to share that with us as well, and then of course what your goal is moving forward. So let's recap the goals from February, which I share a top goal with you for the month, and then I go over to Patreon and share a preview of the rest of my goals for that month. So that's what I end up sharing in my recap. So you do end up getting to know what goals I had, but I just share that preview over there. So after this, I will be sharing the preview of the rest of the goals that I have in place for March over on Patreon. So I would love it if you would consider supporting over there if you haven't already. My top goal for February was to create a week of housekeeping videos for YouTube. These videos I plan on sharing in not the very first week of March, but the next one. I don't know if I want to begin them on Sunday the 5th or Monday the 6th. I would love to know what you would think in the comments below. Would you like it to begin on Sunday for the housekeeping and the everyday, or just the way that I have the housekeeping list set up for housekeeping and the everyday for the lady of the house? It begins on Monday. So I just didn't know. I mean, for me, the first day of the week is Sunday, so I always like to have Sunday start even in a calendar. But for this, I mean, it took a lot for me to not begin it that way, but I didn't want anybody getting confused with what the everyday meant, so I put the everyday up at the top. And, you know, Monday's like the start of a working day, and things are pretty relaxed on Sunday when it comes to what I have to do, but I would just love your feedback. Do you think that those videos should start on a Monday, or do you think they should start on a Sunday? I actually got right on recording those, and I thought that it would take me a lot longer to do that, but for the most part, I was able to complete it within 1 week. The next goal that I had for February was to create the cleaning cards. I wanted to be able to offer to all of you cleaning cards for this whole housekeeping and the everyday, just a deeper dive into the rooms that are the focus for each day. And so I did. I ended up completing all of the cleaning cards. I put them in this binder yesterday, so that felt good to complete. I mean, I already know what I want to do in each of these spaces, but just putting this together like this so that it's something that can be printed, I think will be so helpful for those of you who just love to look at something. And that way, the good thing about this, I think, is that when you check something off, I'm not saying that when you look at your cleaning card, you have to complete all of those things in a given day, but you can refer back to it the next week and you can just see, okay, what things did you do that week? And if you want to do something different the next week, you can. Some of these things you might want to do every single week. So it's just up to the lady of the house. Following that, I had on my list that I really wanted to help Jorge clean out his closet. So my husband's closet was a really big mess, and it made it very difficult for me to put his things away or just even look forward to doing his laundry because I felt like I was really having to shove things into his closet. I did not clean it out for him, but I was just really encouraging him to get that done because of how it made me feel and just what I would like to see if I'm going to be completing that task each week. So he was very mindful of that, and he agreed that he would do it. And so it just made me feel good that he took my feelings into account about that, and that he took the time aside he just made the time to clean out his closet. He also cleaned out his nightstand drawers. He really got his life in order. So that made me so happy. I actually did a video on that last week over on Patreon. So if you're interested in that, it was for my bonus Lady of the House video. I just went into different things surrounding being a helpmeet. And so I think that it was just so nice to now open his closet doors and be able to look forward to putting his clothing away. So that's something that I feel, it was kind of like a joint effort there, because sometimes somebody else will be completely okay with something until they realize that it bothers the person that also has to deal with that space as well. So I'm of the belief that when it's not my own space, the person whose space it is really does need to get in there and to clean it and to organize it, because it's their space, and they just will be more apt to taking care of it if they spend that time decluttering it, cleaning it, things like that. And then there are just some things that I'm not even able to make decisions about. The next thing on my list was to set the passport application appointment. So when we had first tried to do this, it was just, we tried going down there the same day that we had taken the kids' pictures for their passports, and they only take you by appointment. Well, come to find out, here where I am, it's just really backed up, and it's so hard to get an appointment. So that is something that we were not able to do. However, that may not be an issue any longer, but we will just have to see. The next thing was to plant my flowers in pots. So I have some pots on my back deck, and where I am, it's a very mild winter, and they just looked so sad, and I wanted something to really brighten my day when I go out there, when I go visit my mom for coffee, or just anything, just being on my deck. I wanted to make that space as lovely as possible. And so the weather hasn't been too bad, and I ended up going to Lowe's, and I even did a video on this past month. So I was able to accomplish getting some flowers potted. Good. It smells great whenever I'm on my back deck or going out my back door. And it just doesn't take much to keep up. I purchased some stock. I already had 3 little things of stock, and I put that in a bigger pot, but I ended up getting some smaller ones, just some plug ones, and I put those in those little pots that I have on my baker's rack. So that was something that I was able to accomplish, which I feel really good about as well. The final thing that I had on my list was to schedule my tax appointment. So I had, since the beginning of the year, been trying to get everything together for tax season, and now it is here. So I did schedule my tax appointment today, but it's not until next week. However, I am going to be able to complete it by the end of this month. So that's just something that really weighs on me around this time of year, and finally making that appointment, it gives me that deadline. Now, if you will recall, I shared my vision board for 2023 with all of you, and I encouraged you, if you had a vision board that you wanted to share, to email me, and I would be more than happy to share it with others here on YouTube. It kind of gives everyone just a little look into what kind of things are important to you and what things you have goals of, and just an overall look at someone else's vision board. Because I know that sometimes we can get really down when we look at different things that we may see online or something, but everybody has a different vision, a different view of what their vision board would look like. No two are alike. And so today I have two that I wanted to share with you, and I hope that you enjoy what they have to share. This first vision board comes from Glinda. She writes, "First vision board ever in 75 years, inspired by you. I have landed in Flagstaff in the blue house you see, which is a new second home for me. So I will be decorating from scratch again, and I love it. The book is to read more paper books in addition to audiobooks and online classes I take. The little exercise girl speaks for herself. A reminder to drink more water and the picture of my next planned trip to England. I just returned in November from the Jane Austen tour of Bath. So now it is on to Beatrix Potter. It's so much fun to be inspired by you. Glinda." This next vision board comes from Rochelle. "My goal for this year is to believe intentionally. First, by spending time in the Word. Also, spending time in the beauty of nature, creating colorful and wholesome dishes, and creating meaningful work while taking care of the body by exercising and practicing the piano. Thank you for exemplifying what it is to be a lady confidently. Sincerely, Rochelle." Thank you, ladies, for sharing your vision boards with us. They were so beautifully created, and I know that they will inspire many. Okay, let's get into my top goal for March. That would be to embrace a new filming style. Many of you know that I really love all of the visuals and the music and everything like that. What I am going to be focusing on is sharing more with you, just explaining to you different things within my process. And I think that it will work out well with the lady of the house, housekeeping, and the everyday, that whole system that I have in place, and just sharing with you my thought process behind why I created this list the way that I did. And hopefully it will be helpful to some of you. I've been noticing through a lot of comments that I've been receiving recently that you have all really enjoyed the last video that I made when it came to the laundry routine masterclass for the lady of the house. And that was just something that I felt like, I have been creating videos in a different way all this time, but maybe somebody wouldn't understand why I'm doing something the way that I am. And I didn't always want to feel the need to explain myself, but I think that I've been doing things a certain way for so long that I am just going to welcome this change right now. And I especially think that it will be helpful because I am sharing a printable with you and everything. So I just think that in many regards, it might be helpful to some of you to just explain myself. So I will be incorporating more of that style into my videos, especially the ones that will be up and coming very soon. So you can look forward to that, especially if that's something that you can really appreciate. I do want to include a lot of overlays, a lot of B-roll in there so that you can see, just still get that visual, because I think that there is something to showcasing what my idea of beautiful is and how I do things within my home, as opposed to just standing there talking to you about it. So I do want to include that because that is what I love to share with all of you, is making the everyday beautiful and encouraging you to do that. Not making it just the way that I do it, but just showing you how I'm doing that for myself. And hopefully that will be beneficial for you, as to just encourage you to do what you think is beautiful, and that's going to look different for everybody. So if you would like to hear the rest of my goals for March, please join us over on Patreon. And with that, I'm going to leave you here. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.